I really wanted to talk about wasn't so much the side effects, but the insertion process, because that's something that I still find hard to talk about. I found it very, very stressful, very, very painful, and altogether quite a traumatic experience, which is ironic really, because Essure is supposed to be this wonderful, simple thing that you can have done in your lunch break, and it's meant to be, you know, minimises risk because it's not invasive like surgery is. It's supposed to be so much easier than having traditional tubal ligation surgery, and that's how they sell it to you. You know, this is going to be easy. It's a walk in the park. And they said for me it might be a little bit different because I haven't had children, so, you know, everything's not all stretched out down there. But, you know, oh, it's still easy. We do it under a local anaesthetic. Okay. Well, yes, they did do it under a local anaesthetic. What they don't tell you beforehand is that local anaesthetic goes directly into your cervix via an injection. And it's what's called a full cervical block. So it's the full depth of your cervix, which, for those of you that aren't sure, for the men out there, is about that much. Cervix is about the length of your thumb. And they stick a needle in it. But anyway, yeah, having Essure put in was, well, for anybody that's gone for smear test, having a coil fitted, having babies, you know that your dignity kind of goes out of the window for these occasions. You're there on your back with your legs in the air and it's spread apart for all to see, and it's not very nice. And you know, that's a bit scary in and of itself, especially when there's a couple of nurses, a couple of doctors in an operating theatre with a shitload of crazy looking equipment. I'm not sure what all of it does. And I'm not going to knock the nurses who did their best to be reassuring, but it wasn't a nice experience at all. They put a camera inside you, which goes in through your vagina, through your cervix, which is dilated, and that's why they give you the local anaesthetic, because the dilation part hurts, and into your womb. And it was horrible. It was excruciatingly painful. I cried. A nurse held my hand, I think. I can't really remember. And then they put the Essure delivery device inside of you as well. So you've got something holding your cervix open, you've got a camera in there, and you've got the Essure delivery device in there. None of those things on their own are very big, I suppose, but all together, you know, it's like having somebody potholing up there. It hurt. In fact, I'm not going to lie, it was the worst pain that I've ever felt. I have tattoos all up my right leg, and I would take those 10 times over rather than have Essure. It was absolute murder. I cried, I screamed, I begged them to stop. Now put those words into any other situation. If you're crying and screaming and you're begging somebody to stop, what does that sound like? Because that's what it felt like. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like assault, doesn't it? It sounds like rape. It's a strong word to use, but yeah, that's how it felt. I was screaming and crying and begging for them to stop doing what they were doing. And all that the doctor that was inserting it kept saying, and this was a woman, by the way, all that she kept saying was just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a bit longer, and we'll get it done. And it took them 15 minutes or so of rummaging around in there. I could feel water, because I think they use saline to wash everything away between my legs, and I could feel the pain. And I could see the screen that they were using for the camera to see what was going on, and all I could see was blood. If all I could see was blood, then all the doctor could see was blood. And eventually she gave up and she said she couldn't do it because she couldn't see what she was doing. Essure was only supposed to take 15 minutes to put in, but it took them 15 minutes of faffing around to realise that they weren't going to be able to do it. And she withdrew everything and left the room and let the nurses kind of tidy me up a little bit, and they wheeled me out of theatre into a ward. They covered me up, thin blanket, and they left me there crying because I felt like it was my fault. I felt like it was my fault that it had gone wrong, my fault that they couldn't place it. And I also knew that I was going to have to go through all of that again, because she said, never mind, we'll just have to try it again. And while I was lying in there, lying on my back screaming, I was going, please stop, please stop. And I was thinking to myself, Christ, I wish that they could have done this under a general. I'm one of those lucky people that get away okay with general anaesthetics. I don't get sick afterwards or anything. For me, it's just like a nice sleep. It's lovely. But that option was never given to me. I was never given the choice. And I lay there in that bed afterwards, shaking, crying, an absolute mess down below. They give you, you know, a maternity pad just to catch all the crap. I don't mean crap literally, I just mean all the blood and water that runs out of you afterwards. Luckily, I had thought ahead and I'd brought spare underwear and a spare pad. It was more comfortable than the great big bulky thing they'd given me, but I cleaned myself up as best I could, and I got dressed, and they brought me a cup of tea, and the surgeon came round to see me, and she said, well, we can always try again. And I just, no fear, no way was I going to let them do that to me again, certainly not awake. And she went, okay, we'll do it again, we'll do it under a general. And I thought to myself, my God, if I'd have known, I would have had the general first and we wouldn't have to have gone through all this. It was completely unnecessary. And they sent me home. And a month later I went back and they knocked me out and I had it done under general anaesthetic, and I woke up and I felt okay. You know, a little bit bruised as you do, but okay, fine, no problem. So all that was for nothing. And do you know what? I still get nightmares about it. I still get flashbacks about it. And it's hard to talk about, because that's how it felt to me. In any other situation, if you're begging for somebody to stop because something hurts too much and they don't stop, that's a crime. And that was another woman doing that to me. And they've done it to I don't know how many people. They've done it to my friends, to women that I now call friends. That's the same thing that's happened to them. They still have nightmares. They still have flashbacks. I've got some friends who don't want to go near sex because of it. It's ruined their sex lives, as well as everything else. So yeah, I was lucky. After what, a year, 18 months, mine were taken out because I knew the right things to say to a gynaecologist, because I was able to pay to go private with a gynae. I mean, the NHS did the operation and I'm forever grateful to the NHS for that, but I can't forgive that doctor. Do you know what? On paper, Essure is fantastic. For the NHS, I can't blame them. Do you know what? I work for the NHS. I'm proud to work for the NHS. That's me. But what I am is angry on their behalf, because they were sold a lemon.